These are stories about my reluctant and courageous journey into understanding my emotions and what I learned. I'm super grateful for the questions you ask because they're guiding me on this fantastic journey. This week's topic comes from Chris, who wanted to know how to find balance when things are hard. So, this week's topic is about using humor to find balance when things are hard. In the previous video, I talked about how I got through a time I recognized that things were hard. In this video, I'll talk about how things were hard and I realized I could use humor. In the next video, I'm focusing on a time I found it easy to shift into humor when things were hard. In the next video, we'll meditate, and in the last video, we'll have the Fridity or the Friday Ditty, where I bring it all together. I get a little more poetic and a little more nerdy to make sense of the journey. All these videos will appear in the playlist using humor to find balance when things are hard. So, if you have a question like Chris did, comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. The question I'm going to start with today is, when things were hard, what was it like to use humor? The first time I did it, I miserably failed. I had seen friends and family be in tough situations, and they had this ability to crack a joke at what felt like an inopportune time, and yet it released the pressure. Like, the pressure was so much that the joke was actually super helpful. And I think that sometimes, at least for me, when things are hard, I want to, or I need to, release that pressure, but sometimes I'm in the midst of the hard and I can't even see my way out. So things are hard, raw, and just frustrating, and that's all I see. And then eventually, sometimes, I can do some improv, or I can make a comment that makes no sense, and usually someone will start laughing. I remember a friend of mine telling me, my kids were arguing, and she said, "Yeah, you just need to get some whipping cream and then fill their mouths and tell them when they could start talking or talk without laughing because their mouths are filled with whipping cream, that then they could have a conversation, or then they can work it out." And inevitably that they would start figuring out what the problem was, and it's because they were able to laugh. And it's like the surprise of something different shifts us out of that, I think, stuckness that keeps us in that anger or frustration. So it's almost like you have to overcome the seriousness of the challenge. And I don't know about you, but sometimes, especially if I'm in an argument or if I'm certain that I'm right, overcoming my frustration and my anger, or I'm trying to think if there's another, or disappointment, or let's see, revolting feelings or horrified feelings. Like, the challenge is overcoming those enough to determine if it's even an appropriate time to break in some humor. And excuse me, if not, then shifting. But sometimes I take myself just way too seriously, and excuse me, those are the moments I think I need humor the most. So the first time I tried to use humor, I miserably failed. And I think it was in what I'm remembering is a conversation with someone I care about dearly. And I thought, I could say this and it'll land and it'll go well. And it did not. It's funny, because I think it's funny now to look back, because I failed again and again and again. Not every single time, but I had to be willing to fail to get the joke right. I remember standing in front of I think it was the Chamber of, yeah, it was the Chamber of Commerce. And I had written a speech and I had included a joke at the beginning of the speech where, and I was giving my speech and the joke came, I said the joke and it did not land well at all, at all. And I remember looking out at this crowd of blank faces and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in this situation. This is scary. This is hard for me. And I finally said, that was supposed to be a joke. And everybody just started laughing. So it's almost like sometimes it takes that time for it to work out. Now, I'm trying to think of if there are signs that I look for to remind me to find humor when things are hard. I feel like I'm a lot better now than I used to be at finding the humor, but I'm trying to figure out what it was that what signs do I look for? Do I look for the tension that I'm feeling? Do I look for the frustration? I might be checking on, looking at what's happening in the people around me to see if, and Consuela is on my lap, so if you heard a little cough, that was a dog cough. She's panicking a little bit because there was thunder and lightning outside, so she just wants to be right beside me right now, which is really sweet. Yeah, that makes recording a little bit hard, huh? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So the panting is Consuela. Clearly it's not me. But I think mostly the sign I look for is my ability to find the humor in that moment, because sometimes it's just inappropriate. And it might be that I'm feeling that tension, like it hits a certain point and then it's like, oh, I need to crack a joke to release some of this pressure. And that's actually really important. It's actually healthy in conflict for everyone to release that pressure. And sometimes it used to be I would be taking things so seriously. I didn't want to release that pressure. I don't know why, but that's how it used to be for me. So tomorrow we're going to talk about utilizing how I use the humor and things like that. I would love to hear from you. How have you used humor when life felt hard? These videos will be located in the playlist Using Humor to Find Balance When Things Are Hard. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.